You're live.
Aloha, snack bar, everyone. It's the one, the only, the majestic ape, Senor Silverback, and we are back with the main man, CJ, the master of the flux capacitor, the waziri, the wizard of the airwaves, and it's another Rogue Money morning. Well, with that being said, you can follow us on Twitter at The Rogue Money as well as Facebook. And don't forget the roguemoney.net main website where the most hard-hitting, most incredible articles are written and placed that gives you total and complete geopolitical backdrop, context, and understanding. With that being said, also, guys, check out our sponsors. If you are suffering from debt, you feel like hiding your head in a hole somewhere and wishing it all go away, then you need to call myfreedomnow.us. Myfreedomnow.us. Check out those guys over there. They can get you out of the situation you're in, whether it's student loans, bankruptcies, foreclosures, no matter what the heck it is that's facing you, you have a wrecked score and you need to make it better. Call myfreedomnow.us. Do it before you hit that bankruptcy trigger. That being said, CJ, what's crack-a-lackin'?
Hey, good morning, V. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I mean, dude, it's the Ides of March. So happy Ides of March to you, CJ.
Absolutely. Right back at you.
Yes, yes. And with that being said, where do we begin, man? I think, we got a lot of things to cover. We're going to be definitely running over the 20 minutes that we typically do.
Well, I do. We definitely do have a lot to cover, but
Yeah.
the first thing that I want to do is, I don't want to clickbait or word bait anyone here as we're live, V. But I do want to share with our listeners that we had a very special interview yesterday that was just absolutely awesome.
Yes.
And what we're going to do something a little bit different with this interview. So if you're not subscribed at roguemoney.net to get our emails, our newsletter, please do that today. And we're going to reward you for that. So those of you that are subscribed to roguemoney.net, we're going to give you a preview of that interview. But we're not going to tell you who it's with. It's going to be a surprise. So it's not going to be as epic as Rachel Mad Cow Madhouse last night, but I assure you that it's an awesome interview. So please do that today. Do it right now while you're listening.
Absolutely. We're not going to tell you who it is. No, I did not interview Rachel Mad Cow. No, it was not a debate between me and Don Lemonhead of the CNN. It was any of that. But it is probably one of the most prolific guys in media today. If you've probably seen him on TV. He's very, very well known. So it was one of the best interviews we've done, and I'm sure it's probably one of the best interviews he's done because we were just flowing with it, bro.
There was a lot of energy. There was definitely a lot of energy, a lot of synergies as well. You guys were feeding right off of each other and just flowing.
Yep. It was awesome, bro. Totally awesome. I want to thank my main man, CJ, for setting that up, dude. You are the producer extraordinaire, no doubt. The one half of the dynamic duo, bro.
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and just kick off and talk a little bit around, Rachel Mad Cow Maddow and her tweet last night. She's trying to hype up her show. Her ratings are down. I think she has 100 viewers. She doesn't have anything. So last night about 7:30, she sent out a tweet.
I know.
Breaking, we've got Trump's tax records tonight, 9:05.
Oh. Oh my God.
And she got trolled for it on Twitter. She just harsh. So, but what she didn't tell you were that the fact that these tax records were from 2005. So they're 12 years old. They are, it was only 2 pages of it. And in fact, the Wall Street Journal had already, released those over a year ago.
Yeah. And what did it show? What did it show? Trump actually paid his taxes. Oh my God! He paid it at a rate of 25%, much higher than that Skippy ice cream eating, cherry Coke swelling Warren Buffett, that fake-aroni, right? Who says, I only paid 11% tax. But Trump paid 25. He paid $38 million in taxes on $150 million. That's freaking awesome. I mean, I looked at the guy. I'm just like, wow, dude, you couldn't get any more write-offs? Because I'll be honest with you, there are seasons where I pay lower than that. Okay, so for him to pull off 25% on $150 million, I was shocked that it wasn't lower.
I thought it would be too. I was kind of disappointed, to be honest with you, because I'm like, well, maybe he's not so sharp financially if he has to pay that much in taxes.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like 25% is too high. I don't pay 25%.
You can't write off something else.
I'm writing off everything. You know, I'm writing off my pen I bought. I'm writing off notebooks. I'm writing off business suits. I'm writing off ties. I'm writing off everything. You know, so the world learned that Donald Trump pays his fair share of taxes, bro.
Yeah, a higher tax rate than Bernie Sanders. You know, I think Bernie Sanders' last tax return that he showed was like around 14 or 15%. So when you look at, Donald's,
that's because CJ, that's because I have the 5% that take away from the 40% that has the 9%, so that makes me the top 1%, and that is the biggest problem that we are having here in America.
That's why Bernie paid 14% in income tax, bro.
Yeah, so again, she looked like a just absolute fool doing this, and of course Trump, he doesn't play around, so he was unleashing havoc on her on Twitter as well, stating that obviously she had to do something for her ratings, because obviously it was no news. I mean, it was, if anything, it was more in favor of Trump than anything. This was looked at very favorably, where a lot of people were like, oh shoot, he paid more in taxes than I'll probably make in my lifetime.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, yeah. So just I thought that was hilarious, and then also great move. We were one of the first to break this as far as Tulsi Gabbard and her trip to Syria, and the good news is now that she's partnered with Rand Paul in the Senate, and they are looking to have this bill basically to stop funding terrorists, and which it may sound crazy, but in the deep state and certain sancts of the CIA, this is needed. So this is actually just it's called the Stop Arming Terrorists Act.
Oh no.
Imagine that, right?
Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah, so hats off to both of them. I've been sending her emails to her state office, to her office in DC. I think I will start calling her office until I get a hold of someone saying, hey, we've sent you numerous requests for an interview, because it would be, I would like to hear that firsthand experience in terms of, what she witnessed, because obviously the interviews that she did have were in the MSM, and they're not going to cover in detail like we would be.
Absolutely, man. And the fact that she is my future baby mama. But anyway.
I had a feeling that was coming out.
Just kidding. But no,
there's just so much going on. The Ides of March 15th. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, it's a great bill. I mean, my God. I mean, how many times are you sick of the fact that you have, USIS using TOW missiles, American-made arms, and where the hell are they getting it from? Airdropped, special delivery, from guys who are dropping cargo, giving them the wrong coordinates, and they go ahead and they drop them because these idiot leaders give them the wrong coordinates on purpose, so they can arm these morons, man. That's what it is.
Yeah. So, and again, it's great that it's getting up to the Senate, and she has someone there that's, taking, leadership position to expose this. And, again, Rand Paul, he's been, doing a lot on the Hill. So hats off to him. He's a true libertarian.
Absolutely. Goodbye, EU. The new European reality emerges, CJ.
Oh my gosh. It's almost, when we talk about the EU, it's almost like talking about the Titanic, right?
Yeah, you see Francois Hollande, he's like holding Angela Merkel, and she's got her arms out. And yeah, that's what it is, man. That's the EU.
I can see them, on the ship as it's going down, and there's just so much news, So obviously they're talking about how to restructure and how to get trade, and how do we get our currencies and our monetary things in place, while basically, instead of coming to the realization, that listen, this thing is not going to last. The Article 50 was dropped and passed for the Brexit. So, that passed the Parliament vote. So now it's just a matter of them invoking that Article 50. People were stating probably more than around 30 days. Now there's going to be a lot of work to do there as far as, coming up with their currency, coming up with their trade agreements. They have a lot of work to do, but it's happening. It's happening across. It's same thing in France with the upcoming election. So for Merkel and them to, with these, almost what we used to call the insolvent six, right? The big power,
seven,
the insolvent seven, the big powerheads of the EU coming together and saying, hey, what can we do? Well, you're gonna have to divide up. You're gonna have to start figuring something out, on your own, because it's not going to last.
Absolutely, man. And the biggest entire thing is this, man. You have what's being called the Visegrad countries. I mean, these are the countries that have refused to take the refugees from the entire migrant crisis that's been caused by Soros and his EU lackeys. The main guy that's been leading the charge is Hungary's president. I'm sorry, their prime minister, their leader. Excuse me, Viktor Orban, who wants to build a illiberal democracy, and that's the Polish government is under EU monitoring over alleged constitutional violations, blah, blah, blah. Basically, the Visegrad group members are those countries that are in Europe that don't want to be a part of this migrant crisis. They don't want to go along with the EU. And I'm telling you right now, those are the countries right now, economically, they're faring much better than their EU constituents and their EU counterparts. Okay, so they're going to be a viable option. I mean, think of this. If you're Greece, think of this if you're Spain, think of this if you're Portugal, think of this if you're Ireland. Okay, that every country. I mean, you have the Brits are about to leave. They voted the Brexit, and everybody said doom, gloom, and boom. And what happened, man? Well, what happened is the best performing economy in the European Union in 2016 was the British economy. And that's happened right after they got the hell out of Dodge. Okay, their economy improved. People, these countries, okay, these nations that are watching this, and these Visegrad groups that are watching this, they're looking at that. They're looking at the fact that, hey, you know what, Hungary's doing great. Iceland is doing great. These nations are turning a circle. They're turning a corner. And so if you're Greece, if you're Italy, what the heck are you going to do? I mean, the Italians are about to leave. Okay, so what's the Greeks? Yeah. The Greeks are only there because they're there for a handout. Once they realize that handout's not coming, they're going to be out too. There's no point in being the EU. You got to be mentally deranged, retarded fool in order for you to be in the EU. You got to be only a globalist. You have to be that educated, CJ. You got to be that educated to be that stupid. Only a globalist would want to stay in the EU, bro.
Yeah, they have to see the writing on the wall. I mean, and I spoke. I said the Parliament. That's the House of Lords.
The House of the Lords.
The House of Lords. They passed the referendum to leave the EU. So now we have, what you stated in terms of votes coming up. We have some very important elections there that are leading more towards a nationalist, movement and for sovereignty, to get away from these. People don't understand is that these officials that make the rules and the laws, they're not even elected people in the EU. They're appointed. So the people have no representation of anything. And the Brits just got so tired of dealing with all these laws and regulations and killing their economy. And so again, if you're thinking about the EU, you might as well think of it the same way as trying to reupholster the everything on the Titanic, right? It's not going to make any impact at all right now.
Right. I mean, you got guys like François Hollande. I mean, you picture him on the Titanic. Let us not put the deck chairs there. Let us put it over there, and let us make sure the band is playing and the caviar and the kumquats are being served while the ship is going down. That's exactly what's happening here with this whole entire EU project. It is a abysmal project. I mean, it's to the point. Look. Here's the deal. The architects, the guys who are out there pushing the EU, the main lever pullers, guys like Brzezinski, are basically taking his grand chessboard that he wrote about in 1997, a book that I've thoroughly read from cover to cover. And Brzezinski, the technocrat, the kingmaker that he is, has all of a sudden folded up his chessboard and says, you know what, the grand chessboard, what I wrote about is a grand failure. And when he's saying that he wrote about, it's not his ideas nor his works. Those are coming down from the very top people that are pulling the levers of control on this world. They've given up. They're seeing the abject failure because once again, CJ, I've said this a billion times and I'll say it again. The biggest problem with those that are the elites, okay? Number one, the fact that they think that they're not human, that they're some special species, number one. And number two, the fact of the matter is they always undermine, they always fail to recognize the power of human culture. Tribalism is something that is so ingrained in us genetically. Okay, and tribe doesn't mean a specific racial group, or it could just mean a specific cultural group or cultural context. All right, I mean there are issues of tribes of that are allow other tribal members to join who are not of their specific genotype, but they're same they'll assimilate into a cultural value. So this is a cultural value that we have, and Americans, we have a very strong cultural identity, believe it or freaking not. Yeah, we're from every part of the world, but we have an understanding of what it is to be an American. That is an ideal. And that ideal is a complete anathema to what the globalists are peddling and marketing and trying to create on the rest of this world, man.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, this whole idea of a collective society that we all have to agree on all fronts about everything, and we have to avoid these trigger words. We have to have our safe spaces. All these social injustices that are occurring out there, similar to the French ruling of a business that was, actually banning headscarves from being worn in the workplace, and the court upheld it. It truly triggered George Soros, his group, as he was screaming that this is just inequality. This isn't fair that the court passes the Open Society, that George Soros backed, basically is very upset, that saying that, this law that's passed is against EU non-discrimination laws, because the courts backed a company that decided to say, hey, you know what? We ban all religious things and items, and that's one thing. So they were triggered. It was just, again, you look at what's happening in the EU, you take a look at the collapse of society, you look at the rise of nationalism. People are sick of it. They're sick of not having their own identities. They're sick of almost basically foreigners coming in and raiding their towns, raiding and raping, all the crime that's involved with it. And so the EU is just, it's just a disaster right now, V.
The EU is an absolute disaster, and it's not going to get any better. It's going to be a huge problem for these morons. And dude, it's this is the whole thing of of equality, fraternity, liberty. This is the problem, because you're gonna invite people in here that don't share those values, and now you got an issue. It's ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous, man. But what's this I'm hearing, dude, that the cocaine import agency is working with the Russians all of a sudden? What's going on here?
I'm trying to make sense of this article, V. I've read it, a couple times, going through it, what's fact, what's fiction in terms of what they're reporting, out of Libya. So apparently now CIA assets are teamed up with Russia in Libya. Now, when you look at, who's leading in Libya right now, Haftar, he's a CIA agent. He lived in the United States for 20 years. Basically, he was put in place of there. So is the CIA truly working, with Russia? What exactly is happening there? Obviously, I'm sure that there's probably ISIS that are going back into that territory. So maybe perhaps that's it, V. But just, again, there's just so much false narrative, there's false information out there right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what truly happens for the future of Libya.
Well, one thing is for sure. I mean, if Haftar decided to reach out to the Russians, that means that the CIA, if it is true, and again, take this with a grain of salt, if it is true, that means the CIA has completely dropped all support for Haftar, and the CIA has moved, maybe because Haftar wanted to have stability in Libya, and then the CIA wants to keep things chaotic. But Haftar realizes the ravages of his country is what's happening, and his country's being turned upside down, which it is. I mean, anybody who's from, you'd be sad if you were living in the United States, you come back to your homeland, and all of a sudden you see your homeland divided, and you see the suffering there from the once great country that it was to the hellhole that it's turned into, and you realize that the cocaine import agency wants to keep it a hellhole. Then perhaps, maybe, Haftar reached out to the Russians and say, hey, yeah, you know what? I see the work you guys are doing in Syria. Syria is about 97, 98% liberated. Why don't you come and be a stabilizing force over here? He did meet with Lavrov at some point. Okay, that could be it. We don't know as of yet. But one thing we do know is the Russians are active in Libya, and they will be stabilizing Libya. So that is something to watch. And it's and that is a reality. But whether Haftar or is working with the Russians. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, and didn't you mention also a couple shows ago regarding the Gaddafi family that a couple of family members are?
Aisha's coming back, man. Aisha Gaddafi was very popular with her people, and Saif Gaddafi, they're going to be coming back. They are going to be coming back to Libya. Libya's going to get stabilized, man. Libya's going to be stabilized. I mean, my guy, if you've seen pictures of Libya, before the shenanigans with the harpies of hell, Hillary Clinton and Suzanne Rice and Susan Powers running rampant, and Valerie Jarrett running rampant in Libya, and the before and after pictures. I mean, it'll break your heart, man. It'll break your heart.
Absolutely.
It's unreal, man. Absolutely unreal.
Yeah, so lots of momentum going there, in terms of Libya, and then also we see that 90% of Mosul has been taken back by Iraqi, military. So again, the collapse of ISIS is happening. They're running, they're being chased, but the good guys are winning.
Yeah, man, the collapse is real, brother. I mean, it's real. It's not it is not fraudulent. It's not made up. It is absolutely real. And people are going to start realizing, hey, you know what? We need to do something to get the heck out of Dodge. That's why you have the ISIS leader saying, kill yourselves. Go on martyrdom missions and kill yourself, because they're not getting the arms and the funding like they used to. Everything's being disrupted. Thanks to Russia.
Absolutely. There's a drinking game out there, V, with us. I caught wind of this going through the
What's the drinking? Every time I say what, bro? Or
no, I think it was absolutely 1,000. And I find myself saying it now too. So hopefully people in the mornings, hopefully you're not going to work after our show, but yeah, I thought that was
let's not get you guys drunk going to the office and be like, whatever. I was listening to this morning show, and this guy who thinks he's a monkey keeps saying absolutely and 1,000. Absolutely 1,000. Every time he said that, I take a shot. But take a shot of your dark roast.
There you go. There you go. Your coffee. Yeah.
Absolutely. I just said it again. Now, making me conscious of this now. All right.
So what's going on with Uber? What happened with Uber and this green cab Ponzi?
Oh my God! I mean, it's been a debacle here in New York, man. I mean, the green cab industry. For those that don't know, let me break it down a little bit, okay? Taxi medallions, okay? Having a taxi medallion, which basically is like the license that allows you to own and operate your own cab in New York, was something of great prestige. I remember, decades ago, I had like a family friend of ours. He was able to buy a medallion. I mean, it would costed him at that time, back in like the 90s, was like 150 grand. Okay. I mean, it was expensive, right? So, and then the value, or over the next several decades, of these medallions, they soared ultimately to $1.1 million in 2004. Okay. So this generated a ridiculous amount of income, for the TLC. All right. So the biggest problem is this. Okay. So here it is. So in 2013, okay, it was put out that the New York NYC, okay, the Taxi and Limousine Commission, they're going to expand their taxi fleet by issuing thousands of permits for a new line of cabs. These are called the so-called green cabs, or the green taxis, that would pick up passengers in the outer boroughs and upper Manhattan. That's where they were allowed to operate, okay? There are so many investors, quote unquote, that jumped at the opportunity to get in on the ground floor. They're like, oh my God, this is going to be another taxi boom. So, I mean, think about it, right? Back in like the 1930s and 40s, medallions were $10 a pop. Then they ballooned to like 150 grand, 200 grand in the 90s. They went as high as $1 million. So so in other words, your taxi that you owned and your taxi business had incredible equity and value built into it, and so it's worth something when you sold it. Okay,
right.
So the city said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to come out with the green cabs. It's going to operate in the outer boroughs. Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Staten Island. People jumped at it. They're like, oh my God, this is ground floor. This is going to be just as it was back in the days. We're going to get on the ground floor of this, and it's going to be worth so much money. So what happened? You had a lot of investors that jumped in. All right, they jumped to the opportunity to get in on the ground floor. Now, within a matter of months, a lot of investors purchased multiple cabs. They'll buy 1, 2, 3, 4. Some people 5 cabs. They'd buy it for $75,000 a pop at that time. plus a couple of handicap accessible vehicles for and they shelled out $325,000, this, that, and the other. So a lot of people were shelling out a lot of money. Except one problem happened with everybody that got in on the ground floor of this incredibly ballooning Ponzi scheme. Okay? And that is Uber, Lyft, and other ride-sharing apps such as that. Okay? Now, what happened was, here's the thing. One of they were interviewing one of these former taxi operators. They said, he likes the ideas of helping New Yorkers, especially disabled New Yorkers, from getting around, and he paid the broker $75,000 for 5 green cab permits. Okay, so 5 green cab permits at $75,000 plus another $325,000 for vehicles with the handicap accessibility. He waited for drivers to rent his taxis, and he waited for some more. After nearly 2 years, he got in touch with his patient to see what was up with the investment. This investor learned his cabs were lying fallow in Mill Basin, Brooklyn. He dashed over and he found a parking lot filled with over 600 cars, none with license plates, and some not even outfitted as taxis. It was just a sea of green, the investor said. I walked out telling myself, oh my God, what have I done? The collapse of the taxi business has dramatically altered New York's landscape, spurred by the advent of Uber and other apps. The number of drivers looking for passengers has grown 40%, but the surge has meant less business for cabbies who are making 30% fewer trips than only 3 years ago. Those who invested in yellow or green cabs are seeing their investments wiped out as drivers flock to rivals or pursue other work in the car sit idle. Since 2013, 5,000 taxi drivers have thrown in the towel, and last month, Queen-based Melrose Credit Union was seized by the state. This is a bank that was issuing these loans, okay, for people who were starting these taxi businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Melrose Credit Union was seized by the state regulators after delinquent cab loans soared tenfold in just 18 months, CJ. The stock price of the city's preeminent taxi lender, Medallion Financial Corp, has fallen so far that one share now costs less than a subway ride. Okay? Ridiculous. Moreover, we recently noted Capital One breaks out the details of its runoff commercial taxi Medallion loan portfolio. This was such a big scheme that banks were set up just to loan you money so you can get yourself a taxi medallion. And its quarterly reports, and they didn't even paint a nice picture. Since March of 2015, non-performing taxi medallion loans have soared over 50% from just over 1% less than 2 years prior. Investors in New York City's green cab permits allege their losses are due to more than just market share losses to Uber. In fact, a group of green cab investors, including have sued Brooklyn State Court, alleging their green cab broker and his partners cheated them out of $8 million by selling taxi permits in the matter of a Ponzi scheme. They also allege that defendants funneled millions of dollars worth of taxi money into Platinum Partners, a large hedge fund that federal prosecutors likened to a Ponzi scheme after the collapse last year. This is the problem. Again, there's a lesson to be learned here. Okay, whatever glitters is not gold, and is not like the greatest investment of all. But that being said, it just shows you that we are living in the age of disruption. So no matter what the heck, okay, what the heck is going on with the whatever investment or whatnot that you want to get into, no matter what's going on, you better figure out, can this thing that I'm investing myself into, can this business that I'm starting, can this idea that I have, can it be disrupted? Okay, I mean, these people never saw the revolution that was coming, man, with ride sharing. They never saw it coming. Now, New York cabbies, dude, 30% down, that's huge, bro. Huge. And that's for the regular, yellow cab. The green cabs have all been wiped out. This is how disruptive the world is. You need to educate yourself. You need to be on the cutting edge, the absolute cutting edge, in order for you to be innovative and survive in today's global economy, man.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, and it's all sectors. It's not, anything in particular. It's just every industry, that you're looking at. And the retail sales numbers came in and they crashed V, and you take a look at what's happening with technology and the adaptation of people shopping online, shopping for their groceries online, having their groceries delivered. I mean, so many different vehicles and avenues now of these new technologies that are really changing several industries in the U.S.
Absolutely, man. Look at cable companies. I don't have cable. I just have internet. I stream everything. I mean, I look at people that have cable. I'm like, you poor slob. You know, you poor slob. You're an idiot. Why do you spend $200 a month for what? You know, ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. Which brings us to the next thing, man. The fear pumping has begun, CJ. This is very critical, very vital.
The fear pumping has begun. Yeah, let's fear it down, then it's going to shoot right up, right?
Yep. Let's do it this way, okay? I'm gonna read off to you guys really quick. I'm gonna do my quick analysis, and I'm gonna read off to you guys a couple of major headlines. Okay, Market Watch. Here's a headline from Market Watch. Crash Guru warns the Dow could plunge to 14,800. A sign could come this week. And this is by Sandy Jaja, Chief Market Strategist at Master Trading Strategies. Oh, man. Master Trading Strategies. Anybody who says they have a master trading strategy or they're masters at trading, please be very afraid. Claims several predicted stock market crashes to his name. All of them called days or weeks in advance. He told CNBC viewers, for example, in August 2015, the flash crash was coming 18 days before it hit. He also made prescient calls on gold and crude, blah, blah, blah. This guy is saying 14,800 Dow. Okay, that's headline number one. Okay. Headline number two. Again, another major one from Market Watch, because they had a good one here on the Asian markets. Asian markets dip lower, awaiting Fed news. Asian market shares were broadly lower Wednesday, tracking losses in the U.S. as the market cautiously awaited a decision on interest rates by the Federal Reserve, keeping them quiet with anticipation that has dominated the markets for much of the week. Selling was modest ahead of the conclusion of the two-day Federal Open Market Committee meeting later in the global trading day. Okay. Now I'm going to read you another headline. Okay. This one is going to be from Daily FX. FX markets look to Article 50 trigger, Fed rate hike, Aussie jobs, and the Bank of England. Markets are in stress, getting ready to plummet. In other words, guys, if you look at, you just do keyword search with the FOMC, okay? And you look at the Fed rate hike, you just do a search around that, everything you're getting is negative. If people are saying it's going to collapse, here's what's going to happen. Today, they're going to come out, they're going to probably raise interest rates. They probably might. I don't care if they do, if they don't. It doesn't matter is the point. It's a confidence game, okay? So if they do raise rates, you can expect the market to dip anywhere between 1.75 to 2.3%, okay? 1.75 to 2.3% you can expect to dip. There's going to be a little bit of sell-off. It's going to get all the chicken littles out. Wealth moves from the weak hands to the strong hands. And then the market's going to come surging back and erasing all losses. And we will be on our way to Dow 21,000. And then from 21,000, we're going to continue on to 29,000, man. That's basically what it comes down to, CJ. That's
Boom.
it.
Boom.
That's it. That's what's going to happen. So they're putting this out there. Master trading super expert predicts 14,000 point Dow coming this week. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. It's not a real market. It's not a real market. I mean, the market is real. There's actual people and stocks being traded, but it's not based on anything.
Right.
You know,
absolutely.
That's it, bro. That covers everything, man. That's it.
Good rundown.
Yeah, man. That's I want to put it as simply as possible. I could have gotten the whole technicals of it, and there's no need for it. There's really no need for it to get into the technical nitty-gritties. I got into some of the technical stuff yesterday with me and Dex.
Yeah, if anyone, it's good stuff. If anyone,
yeah, man, we broke down the whole entire thing.
It was awesome. Yeah, you guys were on fire.
Yeah, we broke down the whole technicals of what's going on with the market yesterday. So if you want to go listen to it, go listen to the Trading Terror Dome yesterday. But today, don't even sweat it, guys. Enjoy your days. With that being said, CJ, give out your shout-outs.
All right. So listen, everyone, once again, if you have not done so at this point, go to roguemoney.net, put your email in there, subscribe for our newsletter, our email blast. We're going to reward you for that. We're going to be giving you an early release of this wonderful interview that we did yesterday. And I'm not hyping it up. You're going to love it. You're going to enjoy it. So please do that today, and we'll stay posted because we will get that released here pretty soon.
Absolutely. And with that being said, guys, I am the Majestic Ape. He is the master of the flux capacitor. Check us out on roguemoney.net. Follow us on Twitter. And if you haven't done so already, smash the subscribe button. Hit that little Liberty bell going on, or the little notification bell, so you are alerted to our latest updates and programs. And then also check us out on the Facebook page. Also check out our sponsors. If you're suffering from debt, you're stressed out, you got credit card debt, you just want to hit the reset button, check out my boys over at myfreedomnow.us. myfreedomnow.us. With that being said, CJ, we're over and out. Take it away, CJ.